Martin Frobisher. Martin Frobisher was a licensed pirate that plundered French ships off the coast of Africa. In the 1570s, he made 3 voyages to attempt to find the Northwest Passage to the land of Orient. Instead of doing that, he discovered Labrador, which is now known as Frobisher Bay. Later on, he fought the Spanish Armada and was killed during this mighty battle in 1594. But before he was killed, he was an English explorer born in 1535 in Yorkshire, England. His occupation was to be an explorer and find the Northwest Passage. Frobisher began his voyage in the 1500s to explore Africa's northwest coast, mainly Guinea. He also became a lawful pirate. That means he was authorized by the English crown to attack the nation's enemies' ships. In the 1560s, he was arrested several times for piracy. He made 3 voyages to what they called back then the New World. He was one of the first English explorers to sail the northeast side of North America. This man was determined to find the Northwest Passage. He started working for 5 years, obtaining money for his expedition. He convinced the Muscovy Company to license him. After they agreed, he raised enough money for 3 sailing ships. He started his expedition on June 7, 1576. Then he saw the coast of what is now Labrador, Canada, on July 28th. Many days later, he sailed through the bay that was named after him, Frobisher Bay. Since the bay was too windy and icy, he could not continue, so he landed on Baffin Island. On this island there lived natives. The natives had kidnapped some of Frobisher's crew. Many rescue attempts were tried, but none of the attempts were successful. So instead of risking another rescue mission, he sailed back to England and brought back a black stone that he thought was a piece of gold ore. Word broke out that there was gold on the island, so Frobisher got to take another voyage to the island. On May 27, 1577, Frobisher set out on a second voyage with more funding, ships, and men. He reached the bay again and spent many weeks mining the gold ore. Frobisher was ordered by his commission to only mine the ore and give up on finding the Northwest Passage, so Frobisher made his focus on mining the ore. Frobisher brought back 200 tons of the ore back to England. When he got back to England, the Queen was very happy, so she sent him on another voyage back to the land. The Queen sent him back with even more equipment. He was sent with 15 ships and enough equipment for a 100-man colony. Frobisher set sail on June 3, 1578, and landed on Frobisher Bay in the early month of July. But Frobisher and his men were unable to make a settlement, so they all returned to England with 1,350 tons of the ore they mined from the island. The men were very shocked to find out that all that ore they mined was really a metal called pyrite, or as we know it, fool's gold. It was pretty much worthless. Its only use was road metalling, so the pyrite was worth nothing. Martin Frobisher's financing collapsed and he decided to find other employment. He fought in many glorious battles, but eventually died on November 15th, Plymouth, England.
Hi, I am Henry Hudson, and I was born in 1565 in England. My occupation is an English sea commander. I started off as a cabin boy and worked my way up to being a ship commander. I have 3 sons named John, Richard, and Oliver. I married a girl named Catherine. In 1609, I was chosen by merchants of the Dutch East Indian Company of the Netherlands to find a passage to Asia. I departed from Amsterdam on April 4th, 1609, with the ship Hail Maven. I could not complete the Pacific route that they gave me because ice blocked my path. I turned the ship around in mid-May while somewhere east of Norway's North Cape. I was acting out of instructions at this time and pointed the ship west, hoping to find a passage this way. I heard rumors of a passage this way by John Smith and Samuel de Champlain. We reached the Grand Banks south of Newfoundland on July 2nd. In mid-July, we made landfall near what is now Lee Have, Nova Scotia. We encountered Native Americans who were accustomed to trading with the French. They wanted to trade beaver pelts, but we did not trade with them. We stayed there for 5 days. We were fixing a broken mast and fishing for food. On the 25th, about a dozen men went ashore with muskets and a small cannon and assaulted the small village that was near us at the time. We drove the people away from their camp and took their boat and their furs. On August 4th, our ship was at Cape Cod, from which I sailed south to the entrance of the Chesapeake Bay. Rather than entering there, I explored the coast of the north. I found Delaware Bay, but I continued north. On September 3rd, I reached the estuary of the river, which was called North River, but which now carries my name. I sailed into the upper bay on September 11th. The following day, I began a journey upwards to what is now known as Hudson River. The next 10 days, I continued on this river and reached the present-day capital of Albany. On September 23rd, I returned to Europe. I put in at Dartmouth, England on November 7th. I was detained by authorities who wanted access to my log. I managed to pass the log to a Dutch ambassador who gave it to England. 1610 to 1611 voyage. In 1610, I managed to get another voyage. This time I was under the English flag. My funding came from the Virgin Company and the British East Company. My new ship is called the Discovery. I stayed to the north and reached Iceland on May 11, 1610, then Greenland on June 4th. I then rounded the southern tip of Greenland. The excitement was very high because everyone thought we found the Northwest Passage through Canada. On June 25th, we reached what is now Hudson Strait at the northern tip of Labrador. I followed the southern coast of the strait. On August 2, my ship entered Hudson Bay. I spent the following months mapping and exploring the eastern shores, but me and my crew did not find the passage to Asia. In November, my ship, the Discovery, got frozen in the ice, and me and my crew went to spend the winter on shore. My ship got frozen in James Bay. When the ice cleared in the spring of 1611, I planned to go further and find the passage to Asia, but my crew did not. In June, they decided to throw me and my son John, with the lame or sick, whoever was loyal, in a boat and set us off. And the others stayed on the Discovery and went back to England. They gave us the tools we needed to survive and said goodbye. After that, I was never seen again.
Samuel de Champlain was born on August 13, 1574 in La Rochelle, Wines, France. He died at the age of 61 on December 25, 1635. His voyage to find the new land was in 1603. Champlain was baptized and he married a Protestant woman. No one knows if Champlain was baptized Protestant or Catholic. His wife, Mary Bull, was arranged marriage to Champlain when she was 10 and they got married when she was 12. Samuel was 31 at the time. When he found the new land, he stayed there. Champlain traveled through the Saguenay, St. Lawrence, and Richelieu rivers. Champlain made very accurate maps from the Hudson Bay to the Great Lakes. One of Champlain's wanted him dead and ordered some of his men to kill him. Champlain found the traitor and executed him, putting his head on the highest part of the fort on a stick. In the winter, scurvy passed the men in the fort, including Champlain. The First Nations gave them tea and got Champlain and his men better. 10 men had died from the scurvy. Champlain went inland to the First Nations for fur trading. Champlain made a connection with the First Nations and went to war against the Iroquois. Champlain had killed 3 of the chiefs, and the rest of the Iroquois ran away, terrified because the chiefs were dead. After that, the Huron chief had trusted Champlain. One of the Champlains went to live with the Hurons, and one of the Huron men went to live with Champlains to learn their languages and ways of life. People started coming to the New World with 400 to 500 people on each ship. They were attacked by the English, and new land was taken over. Champlain went back to France. His favorite man was found to be a traitor, and the Huron men had tortured him to death. 2 years after the war ended, Champlain could go back to the new land. The English had destroyed all of Champlain's fort, and Champlain's men had to start from building from scrap again. 13 years later, his fort was rebuilt. Champlain had died quietly in his office the year that they had rebuilt it. Champlain is important to Canada's history because he had done so many things and because he had led so many French colonists to Quebec.